Let me ask you a quick question. If you get a raise and suddenly your income moves into a higher tax bracket, do you actually lose money? A lot of people believe you do. They think, higher tax bracket means the government now takes more of everything I earn. That belief stops people from asking for raises, accepting promotions, or earning more. And it's completely wrong. In this video, I'll explain marginal tax rates so simply that you'll never be confused by tax brackets again. By the end, you'll understand how marginal taxes really work, why earning more money almost always helps you, and the one misunderstanding that costs people thousands every year. The biggest tax myth. Here's the biggest tax myth most people believe. If I move into a higher tax bracket, all my income gets taxed at that higher rate. That is not how taxes work. Not in the United States. Not in most Tier 1 countries. Not anywhere with a progressive tax system. Taxes work in layers. Think of your income like a stack. Each layer is taxed differently. Only the top layer is taxed at the highest rate. That's the foundation of marginal tax rates. What marginal really means. The word marginal sounds complicated, but it's actually simple. Marginal tax rate means the tax rate on your next dollar of income. Not your first dollar, not your total income, just the last dollar you earn. Everything below that dollar is taxed at lower rates. So when someone says, I'm in the 30% tax bracket, what they really mean is, only the last portion of my income is taxed at 30%, not all of it. That distinction is where most confusion comes from. Simple numbers example. Let's use an easy example. Imagine tax brackets like this: 10% on the first $10,000, 20% on income from $10,000 to $50,000, 30% on income above $50,000. Now imagine you earn $60,000. Here's how your tax actually works. Your first $10,000 is taxed at 10%. The next $40,000 is taxed at 20%. Only the final $10,000 is taxed at 30%. So even though your marginal tax rate is 30%, only $10,000 is taxed at that rate, not $60,000. Marginal versus effective tax rate. This is one of the most important ideas to understand. Marginal tax rate is the tax on your last dollar. Effective tax rate is the average tax you pay across your entire income. Most people hear a high tax bracket and assume they're paying that rate on everything. In reality, their effective tax rate is usually much lower. That misunderstanding leads people to make bad financial decisions. They turn down overtime. They avoid promotions. They fear bonuses. All because they misunderstand marginal taxes. The raise fear. Let's address the biggest fear directly. What if my raise pushes me into a higher tax bracket? Here's the truth. A raise cannot make you earn less money after taxes. It has never worked that way. Only the income above the threshold is taxed at the higher rate. Every extra dollar still puts more money in your pocket. So, if someone tells you not to accept a raise because of taxes, they don't understand marginal tax rates. Now you do. Why this system exists. So, why do governments use marginal tax systems? Because they're designed to tax basic income lightly and higher discretionary income more. Everyone pays lower rates on the first portion of income. Higher earners simply pay higher rates on the extra income above each level. You're not punished for earning more. You're just taxed differently on different portions. What smart people focus on. People who understand money don't obsess over tax brackets. They focus on increasing income. They use deductions and tax-advantaged accounts. They plan when and how income is earned. Because once you understand marginal taxes, you realize that earning more money is almost always the correct move. The real problem isn't higher tax brackets. The problem is misunderstanding how the system works. Final summary. Here's the one sentence to remember. Your marginal tax rate applies only to your last dollar, not your entire income. Higher tax brackets don't erase your gains. Raises don't hurt you. And understanding this puts you ahead of most people financially. If this finally made tax brackets make sense, share it with someone who still fears a raise. More simple money explanations coming next.